What's going on? Ratsénhaienhs Ross Montour. I'm here to film what might be maybe my last Chiefs Uncut before the upcoming summer event. I wanted to update the community about some of the things we brought up at the community meeting this week, and I realized while it was fairly well attended, there are a lot of people who were not there. So I wanted to update a little bit about the recent signing. It was in the newspapers in Yuri and the Eastern Door. But it's about the signing of the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding between Kahnawake and the Government of Canada, moving forward to discussions about our future and our way out of, I would say, to our own future in terms of governance, how we determine what our future will be politically, socially, and in all respects. So the thing with the MOU we signed in Ottawa was the culmination, the coming together of over 2 years of discussions with Special Ministerial Representative Deborah Corber, who was appointed by the previous Minister of Suriname, Mark Miller. At the time, we said to Mark Miller, we had a bad experience with the previous minister and the previous negotiation team in terms of not really understanding Kahnawake's perspective. And our perspective is this. There's all manner of discussion about delegated authorities, termination tables, and so on. And it's all over social media, you know, as this is what's going to happen. We're going to become an ethnic municipality with just sort of delegated authorities from the Government of Canada. And what we told the Government of Canada is that we're not talking about termination tables, we're not talking about delegated authority. What we're talking about is self-determination in all the aspects of our lives. And that includes, among other things, there are 4 things that initially we're going to talk to Canada moving into negotiations about, is lands, environment, registration. Those 3 are linked. The lands, we need to have control over our lands because that means we know who lives in our community in Kahnawake, who has a right to be here. That's tied to the registration aspect, whereas the Government of Canada continues to add to its registry in terms of people maybe going all the way back to the 1857, so-called 1857 cutoff, which means if somebody out there decides that, well, they can trace back to an ancestor all the way back to the 1800s, then they can be eligible to be put on our list, and we completely disagree with that. And when I say we completely disagree with that, I mean Kahnawake does. I mean the community does. We decide, as Mohawk people, we decide who is a Ganyakahaga of Kahnawake, not the Government of Canada. So that ties also to land. It goes to the fact that right now, under the Department of Indian Affairs or whatever iteration it's in, whether it's Indigenous Services Canada, which does handle those aspects, registration and so on, somebody could go around Kahnawake, go to a regional office, and with a bank card and say they're entitled to hold land here. And if there's a willing seller, well, then we have issues with that. So that's why those 2, and then the third is environment. Obviously, there are issues with contaminated sites that we need to take Canada to task on moving forward. So there's those 3 tied together. And then the 4th thing is it has to do with gaming. It has to do with the fact that recent legislation, by recent, I mean in the last 2 years, the last 3 years, legislation was brought forward that impacted single sports betting, which was then made legal. However, the Government of Canada failed and refused to take into account putting a carve-out for First Nations who had the capacity to have, number one, a jurisdiction around things like gaming, to be able to operate those things efficiently. And the Minister of Justice, the previous Minister of Justice, David Lametti came to Kahnawake 2019 and toured the community and the gaming facilities, the gaming commission, and said that the Kahnawake had a gaming infrastructure that was worthy of recognition. However, in spite of all of that, the government failed to do that. So when I took over the lead for Kahnawake-Canada relations, I insisted that gaming had to be on there. We had to have that there, and that's tied to the United Nations Declaration and our right to economy. So those are the four opening areas of discussion we're going to have. And what we said to Canada is, as I said at the beginning, we're not looking for delegated authorities. We're talking about self-determination, and our discussions are aimed at removing obstacles or finding ways around blocking of our ability to be self-determining as Kahnawake, as the Mohawk, the Kanien'kehá:ka of Kahnawake. So I just wanted to update the community with that, because on social media there are all kinds of things that are said, and I just want to reassure the community that the team we have, and even before I took over that portfolio, the team that the Mohawk Council has, and for the last 20 years, we have been determined and moving forward in terms of what is acceptable, what is right for the Kanien'kehá:ka of Kahnawake. So I wanted to just point that out to you. Just a very quick note. This week I will be in Quebec City for the AFNQL. I will be attending a 3-day in-person assembly of the Assembly of First Nations of Quebec and Labrador, and I will have the proxy as the Grand Chief won't be in attendance, and one of the main things we'll be talking about is the North Volt project. So with that, I'll leave you, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and coming towards the spring and then the coming summer, all the best, and we'll see you sometime soon. Nyawa koa, tuna onikuwahi.